Preservation Commission meeting, City of Glen Rose, Texas, on March 18th, 2025 at 5:30. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Scott Cole.
Here.
Karen Braswell.
Here.
Amber McCune. Here. Ann Carver.
Present.
Gabriel Campos.
Here.
Melinda Patrick, I'm here, and we have a quorum. Okay, we're going to start with the consent agenda items. We are going to pull 5 and 6. I am looking for a motion on consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8.
I make that motion to accept them as presented.
I second.
All in favor? 6-0 carries. Now we're going to turn to consent agenda item number 5. Ann Carver is going to abstain from this. Do I have a motion for item number 5 for approval?
Yes, I will make that motion to accept item number 5 as written for the new fence for 307 Southwest Burn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Karen seconds. All in favor? 5-0 carries. Next is item number 6 on the consent agenda item. Gabriel Campos is going to abstain. Do I have a motion for approval on item number 6?
I make that motion to accept it as submitted.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Number seconds, all in favor? 5-0 carries. Okay, we're going to move on to the individual items for consideration and turn to Heather.
Okay, we have a COA for 103 Northeast Vernon Street. It is for a sign that will go in the window. We have Shana Davis here with us, and as we just discussed, we are only going to approve the look of the sign. As far as how large the sign would be or where it's gonna go in the window, that's gonna be done with planning and zoning. So you can see there's a picture here of the sign. Do you wanna add anything or? It's here.
Kind of speaks for itself.
Speaks for itself. Does anyone have any questions about the sign other than size? Okay.
Okay. If there is no further discussion, is there a motion for action on the item for 103 Northeast Vernon Street?
I make the motion to accept the sign as submitted. The design of it, please remember that you will need to go to building and code for any further permits or anything else that is needed for it. That's my motion at this time.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Amber seconds, all in favor? 6-0 carries.
Okay. That's pretty easy.
That's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next step.
Yes, go.
See.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Unless you want to stay for the rest of it. She said that really fast.
She didn't even hesitate.
Well, she's driving down to Houston, so I don't blame her.
I have a copy, I think.
Oh, do y'all have copies?
I think I
Only
can.
a
Pass them to people that might not have copies.
Okay, the next item is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a certificate of appropriateness as submitted by the city of Glen Rose for 300 and 308 Northeast Bernard Street.
Okay. So as she said, we're looking at 300 Northeast Bernard Street. We do have a representative from the city here. If there are questions, and I'm sure there will be some. This is for what was at one point called the Lane and Sons Motor Company. The building was built in 1929. Uses have been car sales, gasoline, probably minor repairs of cars. The proposed use of this space will be for city offices and conference room. And in your, as far as I did put the historic resource survey in here, if you would like to refer to it, the building currently does not sit in our National Historic District. It is not a National Historic Building or state, although it is eligible for both, and it is on the Meridian Highway Survey. So it's eligible for, but it is not currently designated as such at either level. As far as the, I put a couple pictures in here of what the building has looked like at different times in history. But as far as the work that's going to be done, I did get a copy of the architectural drawings, and I tried to pull out the pieces that would be really more the outside of the building and of interest to the commission. And so the top is a picture of what the building proposed to look like when construction would be finished. The work that is proposed to be done on the building would be the black awnings that you see. Now, awnings have been on this building in the past, as you can see down in the picture, but it has not been on the entire building. I think they want to add them back for look because they would look nice. But then also you have, issues of shielding from heat. I can tell you that afternoon heat facing that direction, because I know several of us have buildings facing that direction, it is hot. And so that's part of the, issue is because of that sun. And I'm sure just because of, it would be a nice look. So that's one thing that's going to be done. Another thing that will be done is the clay tiles that are currently on the building will be repaired and remain the current color. There was discussion at some point if they would become a different color, but we've talked about it, and I think we're all okay with them remaining the current color, but they will have to be repaired. There is going to be some tuck and point done on the stone in the building and around some of the fossils where that needs to happen. The goal here of the building and talking to the architect, the goal was to use the current, like the openings, like you would have seen at this, bottom of the first page. So anywhere that there was an opening is where they tried to put the windows, tried to put doors. I talked to the architect at length. There will be not a stone or a fossil will be taken out of the outside of that building. And just, for your knowledge, not that we really have any oversight over the interior, they're not planning to take one out of the interior either. Those interior walls that have stones and fossils in them will remain. They're cutting no holes in them. They're doing nothing with them. That was very important to them. So I just wanted you guys to know that. They are intending on using the existing lighting that is on the building. It will be refurbished as some of the lights are not in great condition. I found that, I think those, lights are really wonderful and they're going to reuse those. There will be, and you probably wouldn't have even seen this in the architectural drawings, but once construction's done, there will be at the exterior, exits, what they call wall pack lighting. And so that's lighting, it is required by code so that someone walks out and it's evening or it's getting dark. It lights up the door, it lights up the sidewalk where they're stepping. And even if this is an architecturally, National Historic Building, that's code now. You've got to put it on the building. So that will go on the building. The other thing that's being added, obviously, are windows and doors. All the windows and doors are going to be pre-finished black aluminum frames. There was a lot of thought put into the look and feel of these windows. Obviously, you know, it has windows now that are, I haven't even count the panes, probably 16 pane windows, maybe 15 pane. Those are, although they have been there a while, they are not part of the original structure of that building. And so I think the intent was, you know, not to try to go back to with something that busy, but to have something that kind of looked like it might be, you know, a modern day garage opening, so that you could pull it up and it would look like a garage to, you know, kind of celebrate that it was a garage at one point. Obviously, it's not going to be one anymore, but to have something that really gave the building character that embraced what it had been historically. So that is the idea of why the doors and the windows look that way. I did put, you know, the schedules for the doors and the schedules for the windows on here, just so that you can see, you know, where the doors are, what size the windows are. But as I've already said, they're black aluminum, and you can kind of see in the picture what they look like. And honestly, that's all that's being done to the exterior of the building, except for cleaning it, pointing it, and adding the windows and doors. I'm open for questions. I do have a set of drawings. The architect could not be here tonight. Troy's here if there are questions. I know he's been involved with the architect in the design, you know, of what the building looks like. So open it up for questions.
I have a question on that first rendering. Is that just the roof tiles there at the very top? It almost looks like it's something
copper
else. It
metal.
I
looks
thought
like
that
something
too.
metal and
So
copper.
that's why I called him. I'm like, what is that at the top of the building?
Yeah.
It does not look like the tiles. And he said it's just a rent, they're not touching the Spanish tiles. They're only repairing it. It's just how it happened to look
Okay.
in the rendering. But the tiles are not being touched.
Because over here at the
It does say in the fine print right here, copper roof.
There was a thought at one point that they would be painted to look copper.
Okay.
But I talked to the architect and I talked to Troy, and they're not gonna be painted right now. They will remain as is and repaired.
what are they gonna do with the windows that they're taking out?
I mean, I don't know that they've thought about that. I'm sure that we could propose something if you want a window to be kept and.
Well, the ones on the back would be the ones you might be interested in. The ones on the front will replace, and they're not very nice.
Now, I've seen the building. You and I personally walked through that building and all, and so I know, I'm just wondering what you're gonna do with them. And second of all, I don't oppose the awnings, because our building faces that same west and it is awful. And my question is, you're making the windows go all the way to the ground, and I know you're doing it for light and for look, and I get that. My question is, have we thought about the traffic and the rock? I mean, are we far enough?
Set back from the road that they're not.
Yeah, that it's not, I mean, I don't have a problem with the windows going to the ground. I'm just looking at, did we look, and even though you temper them, that's gonna help, but
I mean, was that discussed, or was there any concern that they might get?
No, I don't think we've seen any there get broken due to that. I think it's probably just because it's been abandoned and people are throwing rocks, or they were trying to break into it.
Or like they kick back from the roads of big trucks come down.
Right, well, yeah, I
We
mean,
haven't seen anything.
we haven't, okay, but we haven't seen it because the windows haven't been to the ground. And
Currently, it's just wood.
it's wood.
I mean,
Yeah.
It might be far enough back, and then there is a parking lane there before you get to the building. There, you've also, how wide is that parking lane? 8 feet, 10 feet, 8 feet? A car can park in it.
Yeah, and more than likely, cars will be parked there, so if anybody was gonna get rocks, it would be the cars parked there.
That was it's my concern. And then that of because this had noted that it was copper tiles. Yeah. And that was my next question about it, to be sure that we weren't doing anything with the Spanish tiles. Because, just like she says, it's not within our district, but it was landmarked, a city landmark at one point,
Right,
Miss
it's
Lane.
Glen Rose City.
It's a Glen Rose City landmark, so it is within our purview under
Sure.
that. And,
Well, we have a question about the tiles, actually. Just looking at these photos. And I'm just kind of curious, if you look at these photos, in this one,
They look
the
nice.
tiles are, yeah, they're green in this one. Is that
I
just
think
bad
it's
coloring
probably
or
bad coloring,
were
bad
they painted
picture.
at one time?
I don't think so.
well, I don't know, because
They haven't been green.
They're
That's
never,
so
I think it's
weird.
just the.
I think it's
Just
just,
the lighting in that
I mean,
photo?
there's some old photos that they look green, but I don't think. I think
this
it's
one
just
was
the color.
taken, the one that you used, that, I don't know where you got yours, but the one with the green is in the resource survey.
Yeah.
And that's a 2010 photo, and depending on how they developed it and what they did with it.
So I thought the same thing. So I was
Yeah,
like,
just-
I drove by, I'm like, that's not green, are they?
No, they're,
I don't think they ever were.
and then in
Yeah.
2016, then when in 2016, when the highway department came through and put it on the Meridian, they looked green again. I think it's just the way that they're being photographed.
Yeah, maybe the sun hitting them in a certain way.
It could have been cleaned up.
No, this lane is, she did not clean that building up.
I have
Did
another,
she, Troy?
I have another concern.
Yes.
With the windows going all the way to the bottom is you're talking 1 3/4 tubing to keep water out from.
I'm sure from an architectural
That's just a-
construction standpoint,
I mean,
I would assume they know
that-
what they're
that
doing.
could be- I mean, you can even see how much water sits on the bottom with the current photo.
Do we know, I know that they're not gonna do I know that the exterior work, and there are some loose stones over there, and there is some areas of concern that are moving at different points in time, but you know, that building has to breathe.
Sure.
And you know, it was done with lime mortar and not what we have today. Do we know who we're going to get? It's not a decision that we make. I'm just asking, do we know
The contractor?
who the contractor is that's gonna come and repair that work over there?
We may have a special meeting next week to do that. To designate.
Cause you know, we have some local gentlemen that have done most of that work.
Yeah, I don't think it will be anybody local maybe. You know, we require insurance coverage and.
No, I'm not saying that.
I do know, in talking to the architect, he's already been in touch with the state several times about the building, so I feel like he's gonna be a good steward. I mean, I'm just saying that,
Yeah,
Cause
we're-
it's gotta go back with lime.
yes.
It can't, you know, can't put porter in it. I mean, that's kind of thing. And that is our concern
Right.
in
Yeah,
that
I mean,
sense, but it's not a decision to be made today.
It's not even that, it's, you're gonna have to maintain that probably a lot, right? I mean, you just got a piece of silicone holding those in there, so I'm just a future thing.
On the glass?
Yeah,
They're just gonna.
that is gonna wear out eventually, and probably more often than you probably like, if it goes all the way
They're
to the
solid,
bottom.
because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I probably am, I was here when he presented to city council both times. And, he's taken great pain in this building
Yeah, I
and
understand.
being a very good caretaker of this
Absolutely.
building. And he's very open to answering the questions when you ask him. So, I mean, if we had a question, he would.
I mean, I'm sure I could find that out for you, but I'm
Yeah, I just,
guessing you're just kind of looking at a rendering and the actual construction probably will be a little different than that, just like hitting the ground.
Do we have any other specific questions about the building?
I have a question. Troy, line 8, it says new 2x6 tongue and groove decking with TPO membrane. Where is the tongue and groove going?
Line 8,
It's on the last page.
Yeah.
new to, this is on the plans. It's there, obviously, it is going to get a new roof, right? But it, and
Can't
this
get
is
a
what,
new roof.
roof, what now? We can't get a new one?
You're not gonna put a new roof
We're not
on.
gonna put a new roof.
Yeah.
We're going to take off the layers that were put on.
It's gonna get a new
years ago.
TPO membrane, original rafters and joists to remain.
And the joist are gonna be what's reinforced inside.
Right.
So all those and the rafters are gonna be,
Yeah.
a lot of them have gotta be replaced.
Yeah, and if
And
it's
that's not gonna affect the eligibility of this. You can't even see the roof from
Right.
the ground level. So from an architectural historian's point of view,
No, that's not even,
Well, I have one more,
not even a
I
question.
think. The elevation change, what's the elevation change about?
Meaning.
Meaning on the drawing, it's looking, it shows that the elevation is higher than the current roof height as it is.
I don't think there's an elevation change. I think it's just the way the renderings look. And there is if you look at the side, there's.
I just-
Yeah, I don't know of any elevation.
Alright, I'm just
There's no elevation.
looking at that, it just shows,
I think it's just the
and I
way
can't,
it's
the
drawn.
fine print, so I couldn't see the numbers.
Yeah, I don't think there's any elevation change.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I just have a question. I know this is the city of Glen Rose that's proposing this. If a private individual was proposing, would we have any issues with them doing this with the building?
Absolutely. It's not, we're not singling on anybody, this is just the process for.
No, that's not what I-
But
that's-
private, I don't think it's
No,
any
that's not,
different
I'm
than
just saying that.
No, the city's going through the same process
Right,
as
right,
private.
but I'm talking about like the design and the way,
I don't,
everything they're doing is in line with the Secretary of the Interior standards.
So if
And
you,
they're going through the same process that any other property owner would have to go through.
right, but it's not even the process, I guess, because obviously we have that process. I'm just saying, if somebody comes back later, well, you guys let the city do this, but for example, my building, you wouldn't let me do something as dramatic with my building. Are we taking that into consideration, or is that a consideration?
They are not, in my opinion, doing anything dramatic. If you look at the historic photos of what that building looked like,
I mean,
this-
if anything,
that's
I
what the
don't think
base
a
looked like.
private
So they're
party-
actually, so these windows and this board and batten is not original to the building. Now, is it have its own period of significance to the 50s or 60s? It may, but we're looking at, in our consideration, the originality of the building. And so returning those to essentially a bay look is not gonna take away from its eligibility.
yeah, I question whether I don't think any private party would spend the kind of money that we're spending. And quite frankly, I think that's probably the reason we have it.
well, here's but like with them putting the awnings back, if a building originally had awnings on it, like this building originally had awnings, then you're taking it back, so you're not adding anything, you're not changing anything, you are just putting back what was originally there. So therefore, if that's what your question was, because down there, I can tell you, on this side of the streets, there weren't a lot of awnings on some of those buildings when you went southwest on Bernard. This building had them, I don't have a problem with the awnings, and I don't really even have a problem with them enclosing the bay area, because somewhere about, when they closed the shop, somewhere in the late 60s, the early 70s, they enclosed the bay areas. So, yeah, it's been there as a significance for
For a
maybe 50
secondary
years.
period, but
Secondary period. but
what's more important, the original or the secondary?
I want the original, and I don't have a problem with it going back to the original, nor do I have a problem with adding the extra awnings onto it to cover those windows.
With the exception that the only thing, and this is the only thing I'm gonna critique all night, just in the attachment of the awnings, that's the only area that you're gonna meet a little bit of, you know, you don't wanna go into the petrified wood or the,
No.
you know,
This time. So what are the lights gonna look
I
like?
think it has wood though, doesn't it, around the window?
oh, that's, I'm sure it does.
Yes, it
I was
does.
gonna say that's the only part that's gonna be a little bit sticky is trying to get those awnings on without damaging any of the original fabric, but,
And what were
I think you have a lot of options.
the auto lights that you said were gonna go up under code? What are
They
they?
call them wall path lighting, and it's a code now.
Right, but what are they gonna look, I mean, what do they look like?
I'm sure they're not ready.
I'm,
I mean, I think they're probably,
what do they
And
look
that's
like?
Are
he
you
was
talking
saying
about the
he-
outside lights?
you have to put like an outside exit, for if somebody exit at night, it has to
That'd be on
automatically
the
light.
east and west side.
Right, on the these, it has to automatically light, and so it's just code, like they don't have
Right,
an
but-
option. I guess we could ask them what it's gonna look like, but I can't,
Well, on those sides, there's not petrified wood anyway, on the east and west sides.
That wasn't my question.
I mean, I'm sure if we asked them to find the nicest looking one they could, they would, but I don't know that it's
We
gonna be
thought about a
like,
big spotlight.
we can do that, you know, please find the most historically, you know,
Well, don't they make some that kind of look?
I'm sure
You
they
could
do,
put
I'm
a,
sure.
you could put an automatic timer on any freaking light. It doesn't matter. Like, you
Yeah, we're,
But this one
like,
is
it's
not
not
a
gonna,
timer.
it's not gonna
It's-
protrude and be ugly.
No, it's not gonna be, I mean, I
Or
think they,
I think you can put a motion on just about attached to any.
I think
light.
there's a certain light per code, I mean, we can.
That's
Has
a
to be
particular
certain
code
light,
issue,
like a
and I just
certain
asked about.
Wattage, a certain.
Well, and
Lumens,
it
really.
might be hidden under that
I think it's gonna
rounded,
be
that
hidden
rounded
under-
awning over
Yeah.
the door. If that's where it has to be, it could even be up underneath there where you
Right.
could hardly see it.
Yeah, I don't
You
think
still don't
that's
want it to be ugly, but
And
it would be,
I mean, I don't have a
Disguise.
picture of it, I can get one, but given the length the architect has gone to, I don't think he would put up the ugliest thing he could find. I'm sure he's.
This is gonna be the showcase
Yeah.
of our town. I believe.
So
It's
I'm
gonna
gonna
be
have
amazing.
one more, I think.
Okay.
you just can't stop it.
Well, yeah, I got questions. Structurally, what is gonna be done to conform all this to the building? Like, does anybody have an idea of how much adding, how much not anything taken out, I hope, right? But to frame all this stuff, you're gonna have to add strength and,
Inside.
yeah.
But that's interior.
It's
That's
interior.
it, but I will say
Okay, well-
this, and I will speak on the city's behalf, and Troy can, the architect was here. He presented to the city. He was very detailed in what was gonna be done in the interior of the building, which we have no say-so over. But I can assure you, I sat through that meeting and listened to him very strongly, what he was doing to this building and how he was gonna make it function. And he is taking into account everything down to the petrified water fountain, okay? So let me just, so,
I mean, it took us 4 months just to have structural engineers come out, multiple.
And we shouldn't even be having discussion about the interior.
yeah, so that's
not
what I'm
within our
just telling you,
purview.
that
No,
he presented.
I wasn't saying like, just as, I mean, because, no.
I know, I'm saying from a legal point, we're not supposed to.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't, doing anything.
That's on the city to make sure that the
Gorilla
way,
glue.
Yeah,
yeah, it's on the city to make sure of that. That's not for
It's
us
gonna
to
be duct
decide.
tape, duct tape, whole lot of duct tape.
I
It's gonna look great.
So my biggest concern would
Okay.
be that going on, the windows going all the way to the ground, and water just sitting there on those frames is my biggest thing with those going. I don't know if there's
Well, the drainage will be taken care of, obviously. We don't want water collecting.
No, and I get that. I just,
And the
it's
windows,
only an
they
inch
look
and 3/4,
great.
so it's not a lot off the ground or how it's gonna sit.
My only other question I think is just, we don't have any other, side elevations. I think that I'm looking at it here on the last page with the drawings.
You are.
Okay, and so, but I don't have pictures of that, so those are currently just already,
And
the
there are
same
no-
thing we're talking about the front, right? There are
Yes, this
existing
is
doors,
the only
bays,
picture.
we're just,
Right.
so we
other
just,
than these
okay, that's all gonna
elevations.
flow. Okay.
Yes, yep.
Are there any other questions
I queue up
specifically?
on them.
Okay.
Air conditioning. Is there going to be new units?
That's not in here.
Oh,
Yeah, it'll be on the, south side of the building. They will not be on the roof.
okay.
So that is why we purchased additional land from some of the homeowners behind the building.
It's not on the agenda.
But the presenter can bring additional supplemental information and present, correct?
So, ma'am,
But the applicant can bring additional supplemental information.
Yes, but it's
and-
not here
and discuss
tonight,
it.
and so we
Okay.
can't discuss
Okay.
it.
Are there any other specific questions?
I think we're good.
Scott, are you good?
Good.
You sure? Okay. If there is no further discussion, is there a motion for action on this item?
I make the motion to approve item number, oh gosh, what number was it, Heather?
10.
Item number 10, sorry, as presented. And the motion reads that description of the work, the new black awnings to be added. The clay tiles will be repaired and remain the current color. The tuck and point stone as needed. The existing lighting on the exterior will be refurbished. Wall pack lighting at the exits installed as code. Windows and doors as submitted. And then number 7 was and then number 8 is an interior, is it not?
It was about the roof.
It's one on the roof. And then item number 8, to have new 2x6 T&G decking with TPO membrane with the original rafters and joists to remain. If I'm not mistaken, item number 7 was just the elevations. That's the motion I make.
Would you like to add the awnings to that?
I did.
She said that.
That was the very first thing I did.
Okay,
The new black awnings.
but to be attached.
Well, it is submitted. The new black awning, I'll start all over again so we get it correctly.
Okay.
Just talking about
No, just
attachments.
Attach them without,
Oh,
destruction of the original fabric.
I approve that change to it, so that's my motion.
You got that, Gabe?
The motion has to be,
Yes.
it's on.
Yes.
it's all right here.
As written as submitted.
No,
No, it's not as submitted.
Well, I mean, with the extra awnings to be attached.
You have to,
We'll get it.
We will.
Do I have a second? Amber seconds, all in favor? Majority
Thank you, guys.
approval passes. Thanks, Troy, for
Thank
taking
you.
on this project.
It's gonna be amazing.
We're super
Gonna be
excited for you guys.
something
That's gonna be
everybody's
beautiful.
proud of.
Really looking
When are you
forward to seeing
starting on
it.
it?
So we're,
Tomorrow with the duct tape.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, what time is it?
Oh,
No, next week, if we do a special meeting,
what now?
We
we'll
just have 12.
designate
Oh,
a
is there?
construction company, and then we're ready to go.
Good.
So,
Okay.
and we're saying 5 to 7 months, so
That's
Wow.
fast.
That's good.
it would be amazing.
Yeah.
So, and convention space.
Yeah.
That's gonna be awesome.
Okay.
Good.
So, yeah, thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
have a good night.
Have a good night.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is item 11, City Property Tax Credit Program.
Pulling it.
Heather's gonna pull that.
Time.
Okay. If there are no other items,
Number 12.
we have 12?
It's on the back. I know, I didn't see it. Real.
Okay,
Real places.
redo. Item number 12, it is, under the workshop as well, is the Real Places Training.
It's on the back page.
Heather has the floor.
I have the floor. Okay, there is a conference, every year that the Texas Historical Commission puts on. We do have money in our Glen Rose budget for training. There is, let's see, $3,200 that was allotted to, training for the commission. The cost to go to the Historical Commission, annual meeting with hotel room and with, the registration is about $1,200 a person. I had previously asked, before you brought it up, I'd asked Stephen, who controls the budget, if Melinda and I could go, and it was approved. I have not, put in our registration yet. So as a commission, if, you know, the decision was to change that, it could be done. There's also a virtual option. If anybody were interested in virtually, it's $200 to go virtually. So I will leave it up to you guys.
Can you
for
back that up?
discussion.
So
Yes.
it's 1,200, and what does that include?
It includes
for the
2
in-person?
nights of hotel and
Oh,
the
okay.
registration.
Okay.
Because it is in Austin, and I kind of looked at it, it's hard to just do one night, because it starts.
Sure.
at 8 o'clock in
Okay.
the morning. So it's about 1,200 per person.
But is that because it's late registration?
We're kind of in middle registration.
Yeah,
Early registration was like
until December the 20th,
until December 20th.
until December the 20th,
But
with early
I've got 3
registration.
days to do middle.
And then it went up $150.
Right, it'll be more expensive.
And then it goes up another $120 after Wednesday, or whenever the 22nd is.
So are you
I don't
asking
know
us
if
if
it's-
anybody else is interested in
I'm
going and
asking if anybody
Stephen
else
has approved that?
Well, the problem is there would only be $800
There's only $800
remaining
left.
in the budget.
If
So,
all of us went, is that what you're saying?
well, no, that's
the two
that's
of
just
us
for
go,
the
it
two of
only
you to
leaves
go.
800.
So that means there's only
I would like
$800.
Moving forward, a budget, none of us know what's going on with that budget. So I think that should be something that we have every meeting. It should be a standing appointment on the agenda, that there's a budget,
I don't think.
a
we've
quick
spent
budget
much of our
review.
budget, to my knowledge.
So are you looking at going to the premium where you have the meals included, the breakfast and the lunches included?
I did, but we don't have to. We could do it a different way.
Well, let's just start here. Does anyone else have a desire to go?
When is it?
April.
April 24th, 25th.
That was on a weekend.
But that
Because if
also,
nobody cares, then.
but that
it's-
also means there's not a whole lot of money for the rest of the year, depending on what.
We've never
comes
spent any
up.
of it anyways. I mean, we don't even know.
Well,
Right.
There's $800.
How is there only $800 when
Well,
there's?
there's more. I mean, we have other line items.
Oh,
Have the
okay, I see
listing.
what you're saying.
Just
That's,
the training and the travel expense, that's what we have. There are other line items.
Okay, so
We have
that's it.
Postage, we have, I forgot what total.
Like
So-
9,000, isn't it?
No, it's actually.
so you're saying this is coming out of an allotted like trainings fund? Okay,
Yes,
I
we
got it.
have, 8,600 total
Okay,
budget.
I understand.
We would use, if we went 2,400, that would leave 4,600 in the budget. I mean, so I'm sure if we went and said, oh, we only have 800 left in training, but we'd like to use, you know, there's other allotted items that we'll probably never gonna use.
Well,
So
we're
we
about to use the postage.
We're gonna use the postage,
We're gonna use the
And-
postage,
Yes.
because I no longer wanna look at those
and
things.
if we do some public meetings, we could use some for food, or, you know, there will still be $4,600 left.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to do, obviously no one wants to do it in person. Does anyone else want to do the virtual?
I don't know if I can on a weekend.
Okay.
I would love to, but.
Well, here's the thing about the virtual. As well as the in-person, okay? If you go in person or you do it virtual, all the classes are online for 60 days following the event. You can log in and watch them up to 60 days following the event, and you can download them also. My only thing is that when we leave there every year, they already have the date set. And you get emails numerous times throughout the year that you could have registered early and save that additional $150. And so I just wanted, the reason I asked about it, it wasn't because I didn't care, I didn't want you to go or anything like that.
I think
But
it's
it's-
fair for the commission to know
They
what
all
their
should have
budget
the
is and
opportunity.
how it's being used, yeah.
They should all have the opportunity if they want to go, or if they want to go virtual to do that. That's the only reason I kind of brought it up. I've gone for 8 years. I'll be there this year. So my going does not affect this commission whatsoever as far as a budget item.
You pay it on your own?
Yes.
Well, she goes as part of Bernard's.
I go as part of the mill. The foundation pays either the hotel or they pay
registration.
Excuse me, yes, the registration, I was gonna say event, but it wasn't an event, the registration. They would pay them both, but I don't ask them to, I pay one or the other. And so I've done it that way for years. And I've gone to all of them, they're very helpful. You learn a lot. And it's beneficial, and if you are a planner, then you get continuing ed for it. If you're an architect, you can get continuing ed for the classes. If you need them, you just have to ask them for those items. So I'm not wasn't trying to stop anyone from going. I was just trying to
No,
make
I
it
understand that.
understand that there's this awesome training out there. We need to take advantage of it. And, you know, that's it. I'll be there, and
We'll see.
Heather and I spent time together last year,
We did.
so.
All right.
All right, does
Okay.
anyone have an issue with us using part of the budget to go? Is that okay?
There's no.
Yeah.
All right, so if we have no further business for this board, the meeting is adjourned at 6:11 PM. Speakers off? Video off?
Working.
I brought all my books too.
Sure, it's pretty
I was
fun.
ready. Huh?
It really is pretty fun.